We haven't talked too much, John, about the chorus, but talk a little bit about the role that the chorus plays musically in this, if you would.
Well, the German choruses are, they're really robust choruses traditionally, and it the what distinguishes a really first-class German chorus is the quality of the voices inside the chorus, and I think that that's what is developing in a big way with the Madison Opera chorus. It is very, very apparent in this particular chorus, which in my estimation, under the preparation of Andrew Abrams, our chorus master, is probably, I think, the finest qualitatively and big numerically chorus that we've had to date. And you hear inside the chorus this kind of richness which is needed to overcome the orchestra. I mean, it's a powerful orchestra, intentionally. I mean, the orchestra knows, Wagner is a master theater composer, so he knows how to create pianissimos, and he's not trying to drown out the singers, but you have to, he's expecting, it was after Berlioz, his idea was to increase numbers to create more power, more sound. So Berlioz wanted bigger orchestras and bigger forces on stage, and Wagner is highly influenced by this, and it carries on that tradition. So that's why when you graduate to doing a Wagner opera, you're graduating because the orchestra can play it, because you've got a chorus that can sing it, and you've got singers that can perform it as well, soloists that can handle the taxing burden. But for most instances, though, everything is intelligently written. It's just that sometimes it's punishingly so. For example, if you're in a test, it's interesting, even in the interpretation of the opera, as brilliantly written and as gorgeously written as we're about to hear. This is my favorite, this Act 2, coming up with this beautiful vocal lines between the duet with Zenta and the Dutchman, as well as the very beautiful duet between Eric, her sort of boyfriend, at least he'd like to be her suitor.
Former sort of boyfriend.
Certainly in her mind. But if we don't do certain things correctly, I remember there's one point coming up where there's a series of E naturals for the soprano that's just sitting right there, what we call the passaggio of the voice. And if we don't move that section, Wagner doesn't tell you to move it. But if you listen to past recordings of many, many performances of this, the singer has a hard time with the end of that section if you don't move this, because it fatigues the voice, and then all of a sudden he asks for a series of high B's at full throttle. So over the years you learn, well, is that a mistake on Wagner's part, to write these high E's? Well, from a purely vocal point of view, you might say yes. From a musical point of view, he's in transition into the next section, so you would say no. So what you learn how to do is you learn how to negotiate it, so you move the tempo a little bit so that then so the soprano has the endurance to sing the high B's. Do I...
Yes, you're right. You're right. You just have to move on.
But maybe he learned that from Beethoven as well, because Beethoven was terrible about punishing sopranos.
Yes.
Yeah, and we don't know whether he was deaf and just not thinking about it, because Beethoven was just breaking all the rules and creating this, these earth-shattering moments that were just incredible. And I think that, you move forward musically in time, and then singers learn how to address themselves to the demands that are required. We don't have this sort of Helden tenor that's created in Wagner. We don't have that in Italian opera, but the Wagner form sort of produced then that breed of singer in a sense. It's like I think that probably the innovation comes first, and then the people figure out how to do it.
Before we get back to the last two acts of this opera, Turid, I want to ask you one more question. In this act, we have sort of a change of relationship. As John mentioned earlier, there's the poor tenor who usually in Italian opera gets the girl, and in this case doesn't. Is there a shift in this, or does she start out in this act with Eric already being old news?
No, I think Erik has always been her best friend and has always been there for her, but her dream has always been the Flying Dutchman. I think as a child she heard this story about the Flying Dutchman, and the older she gets, the more focused she gets to get this Dutchman, and she hoped she will manage to see him, that he will come, and it's of course it's unrealistic, but she believes in it.
Do you think she's crazy?
A bit, yes, yes. But don't we all want to escape from the real world?
And is it a matter of escape with her, or is it the sort of romantic idea
I
of
think
being
so,
able
yes.
to redeem
Yes,
someone
I
who's
think
lost?
she's, yes, it's a dream, and she just wants to escape from this village where everybody working, spinning, and she wants to go on to do something else, to meet somebody else. It's a very small community. It's the Norwegian villages. All the men are on sea, and the women are sitting home spinning, and Erik is the hunter. He's always there. And then this Dutchman coming every 7th year.
Sort of a knight in shining armor, but without the white horse.
Yes,
on
yes.
the ship.
I always say it's interesting that Wagner wrote in the score, he described his opera as a romantisch Oper.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that he characterized it using that word, sets it squarely in the sort of psyche of the 19th century, and how this idea of redemption and this love that's over the top, that may be with a phantom even, and that's with this total obsession, is very characteristic of that age.
Well, and the story that Wagner based this on, Heinrich Heine's story, he actually treated it satirically, and Wagner took it seriously, took that idea of love and redemption very seriously.
He actually wrote in the music that Norwegian girls, they could fall in love so badly that they would drop dead on the spot.
Do you feel a sort of Nordic resonance
Oh yes,
with this role?
yes, yes, very much.